If you win, you manifested it. Fantastic. If you lose, you would have spent so much time imagining it that you're really going to want it. And because you're really going to want it in your mind, you're going to be more motivated to work hard than ever before. Most of you do not use your mind for what it's for. You've forgotten how to imagine things. But you cannot close your eyes and vividly imagine. You can't give yourself goosebumps. You can't evoke an emotion in yourself anymore. This is an age-old skill that humans had very recently up until social media. You should be able to close your mind and imagine the life you want to live so viscerally to the point where you can taste it so that this reality, the one outside of your mind, feels like nothing but a prelude, a ramp which allows you to get where you want to go. The mind is that powerful. If you ask any champion of anything, they always envision themselves as champion all of the time. And the reason they do that is, one, so they feel confident, but two, so that if they don't become champion, they're more angry and more motivated for the next attempt to ensure that they do become champion. So that's the mentality and the mindset you have to have. Your mind is your number one ally in all things. A lot of you have been sabotaged internally by your own mind. Your own psyche is working against you. When you have negative thoughts that prevent you from being the best version of yourself, you should understand that your mind is attempting to betray you, and you should feel disgust because you have enough enemies. There are enough people in that opposing trench trying to destroy you. If you're watching this and listening to this right now, I promise you, if I were to give a button to most humans on this planet, if I were to go up to an average man, 25-year-old man of average income anywhere in the world and say, if you press this button, this guy's going to die. And I'll show a picture of you holding your dog, cuddling, being a nice little boy, whatever you're doing. I'll make you look sweet and innocent. I'll say, if you press this button, this guy dies, but you get $100 million. You do understand that 99.9% of people will press that button, right? And they'll take that one. 100 million without remorse. They won't really think about you very much. And if they do, they'll distract themselves with a Lamborghini and that's it. They won't care about you. There's enough people in the opposing trench who are prepared to destroy you for self-interest that the idea of you not having every single part of you on your own side is truthfully sad. You need to be in a better position than that. You cannot allow your own mind to betray you ever. It has to be 100% on side all of the time. Once your mind is on side, once every part of your psyche is on your team, that's when you can go and look for other teammates. You can expand your network of other people whose psyche is on 100% on their side, and you have a unified outlook on the world. Then you can go and get things done. But the idea of self-betrayal is something most of you are struggling with and you didn't even realize. So as a thought experiment, we're going to sit here and I want you to actually think about it. How many times have you doubted yourself? How many times have you didn't feel like doing something you knew you were supposed to do? How many times has your mind tricked you into procrastination or being lazy? How many times has your mind convinced you that it was okay to fail and lose even though you didn't try your best? How many times have you sought comfort and excuses? How many times have you betrayed yourself? Don't worry about your enemies attempting to crush you, but that's another conversation. If you actually analyze most of your failures, you're going to see the majority of them come from self-sabotage. And once you're in a position like me where you never betray yourself, where your mind never lets you down ever, my mind knew exactly what I had to do. I did not miss a single day's training. I did not lose my mind. I did not go mental. I did not have a breakdown. I acted exactly as I was supposed to act. I was fully professional in all things. I got as much work done as I could possibly do. I was extremely productive. I used the experience for what it was. My mind never betrayed me. If you listen and look back on most of your failures, you're going to see that it was your own mind that betrayed you. It wasn't your enemies that tricked you. It wasn't your enemies that outmaneuvered you or outsmarted you. Most of you are not yet at high enough echelon to even have enemies of caliber. You are simply self-betraying. And until you identify that pattern and get yourself in the habit of ensuring that is impossible, then you're always going to lose against people who fully believe in themselves. You know, one of the things that stupid people have that makes stupid people quite successful sometimes is irrational self-belief. And the smarter you are sometimes, the harder it is to irrationally believe in yourself. But if you're dumb enough, you can be arrogant enough to have this irrational self-belief. And you will see some people be very successful and you say, how is this idiot successful? Because they're so stupid that they don't consider the idea of failure. Their mind isn't advanced enough. They are not cognitive enough to consider betraying their own being. They only see outsides. They don't self-reflect. If you're intelligent enough to self-reflect, you need to do it so that you can come up with feedback, so that you can constantly improve, but be very aware of the trouble that can come from a mind that's not 100% on your side. My mind is 100% on my side in all ways. If I have to do something difficult, even if my body can't do it, my mind believes I can do it all the time. And you'd be amazed how much of life, even in the physical realm, is mental. If you believe you can run a marathon, you can run a marathon. If you don't believe you can run a marathon, you can't run a marathon, because a marathon is hard. And by believing in it, by truly believing you can do it, then you will your body to a different level than if you don't believe you can do it. It's the same with absolutely all things, including making money, including the gym, including dealing with mental struggle. Anxiety is self-betrayal. Panic is self-betrayal. Procrastination is self-betrayal. Laziness is self-betrayal. Lacking motivation is self-betrayal. All of these things are self-betrayal. Most of you, your largest enemy on the planet today is yourself. You are the one who is destroying your own prospects because you don't have your own mind under control. And one of the things that's crazy about the world is your mind is one of the few things you can control. You can't control very much else. You can only control your mind. It's the only thing you have control over. So if you don't control it, absolutely, you're going through life with no control over anything. You don't control your own mind, which means by extension, you do not control your life. You do not control your woman. You do not control the weather. You don't control nothing. You're just an empty vessel going through life with zero control over anything. You can control, once your mind's in check, your reaction and attitude to things when you're in the trenches. There's people who give up. There's people who quit. There's people who sow FUD. There's people who feel sorry for themselves. There's people who want an easy way out. And there's other people who say, listen, this is a test. And the only way we're going to get this done is to be irrationally positive all of the time. He's like, well, what can I do about the price of Bitcoin? Perhaps nothing, but the universe may reward you karmically if you at least try to do something positive. Go for a walk, go for a run, burn some calories. Why don't you go down to the nearest grocery store and buy the old lady's groceries? How about that? You're up. You're unhappy that Bitcoin's gone down. Fine. What I recommend you do, although you may not understand this because you don't see them as linked, but karmically, all things are linked inside of this universe. Go down to the local grocery store and buy some groceries for an old lady. That's what you should do to fix the Bitcoin price. Now, will that genuinely affect the Bitcoin price? I don't know. It's amazing how this world works. Perhaps in some strange version of events. That slight delay in her thanking you and her getting in the car ends up leading to an increase in the Bitcoin price. But even if it doesn't, perhaps you'll learn something about not being so attached to money. Perhaps you'll feel grateful and understand you have a lot more spare money than you thought in the first place. Perhaps your attitude to the world will change, which will allow you to be more open-minded so that you can approach opportunities in a different way so that you make more money later on. Karmically, it's impossible for us to tangibly link how that positive action will lead into something else positive in your life later on. We just have to have faith that it will, because it will. So when I said this to this guy, he's like, LOL. That's his reply. He replied, LOL, when I said he should go buy groceries for somebody and he doesn't understand the world. And I thought, well, why don't I go speak to thousands of people and talk positive then? Not to save him, but just to put my money where my mouth is. Just to prove that you can just do something good. And if you just do something good, it is better than doing nothing. Rain dances work. If you need it to rain, you shouldn't sit and pray. You shouldn't sit and hope. You shouldn't sit and complain that it's not raining. You shouldn't sit and wait. You should rain dance. Does a rain dance make clouds appear? No, but you should take action. Perhaps your rain dance, although will not make clouds appear, will be viewed by a tribe high on the mountain far away. And they'll look down seeing you rain dance and realize that you need water. And then maybe Providence and luck will have this tribesman appear with big barrels of water saying, we think you might need water and we have some spare. If you didn't rain dance, they wouldn't know. They just see you sitting around being a mopey, crying his eyes out. That's why it's so important. Take action in all things. Action solves all. Raw action is the answer. Raw action solves all. It is a mindset. So This complaining about the crypto price. He's not prepared to rain dance. He's not prepared to help a granny with her groceries. He's not prepared to do anything. God does not reward men that way. God rewards men who attack the world. You have to go and get things. You have to show that you deserve them. Even in mating, men go get the woman. Men go get money. Men go take land. We go and happen to the world. The world doesn't happen to us. What did we say earlier about if you try your absolute best, you can always find the W even in the L? I tried my absolute best, so I win. Raw action solves all. If you had that kind of attitude, you wouldn't be looking at a crypto price and sitting there praying and hoping like a dork. You'd be doing something about it. Oh, I need your help. Do you? I don't even see you trying. And that's how God views things. That's how, in fact, most wealthy people view things. I haven't seen you do anything that warrants me giving you a second of my help. People feel like rich people are horrible because we don't help the normies. Even if you try and help normies, most of them are beyond help because they are self-sabotaging and lazy. You have to at least show to the people who are important in the world that you are not those things in the beginning if you ever want to be taken seriously. At least that's one of the first things you can do. But I want to see that you give up. I only want to give money to people who know how to rain dance. I only want to give money to people who sit and believe that the rain dance is the answer. I like rain dancers. I like people who sit and say, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do something. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to just do something positive. I don't know how to make Bitcoin go up. I'm going to buy an old lady groceries. I don't know what to do, but an action in and of itself is an action, and men of honor do not allow the universe to decide for them. They decide their fate, and you decide your VA fate with hard work and vigor in all things. In fact, I would argue that a lot of you probably heard about Bitcoin in 2007 or 2009 or 2011, whenever. But you were so uninterested in doing your due diligence, so uninterested in being proactive that you just ignored it. You probably don't even remember being told about it because you didn't give a, yeah. And then you have the gall and audacity to sit here and say, if someone told me about Bitcoin back then, I'd be rich. No, you wouldn't. If you're the kind of person who would have got rich from Bitcoin back then, you're the kind of person who can get rich right now by taking action, by paying attention. If you're refusing to do the right things now, you would have never done the right things. And retrospectively identifying your failures and identifying how many right things you've missed out on is actually a form of hard cope. Oh no, I just don't have the chances. You've had chances and wasted them. And you have another chance right now to do your rain dance. You have a chance. You're sitting here right now during a chance. You have a chance from God because you're breathing. You have a chance right now to get things done. Now, you can retrospectively look back on this period of time and go, oh yeah, I was young and energetic, but I wasted it. But if someone had just told me to try hard at this, I would have, man. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you about Bitcoin in 2009, but you're not going to do anything. It's almost impressive how difficult it is to make the average person move. The average person is a statue getting on by the pigeons, and they'd rather just sit there covered in than move. It's very hard to inspire people to take initiative to save themselves. It's incredible. Why? When they know that it's going to work. Some people are just born to lose. These are people who are betrayed by their own mind and can't be influenced even from the external because their own mind betrays them. There's a devil on their shoulder constantly holding them back. When you watch old kung fu movies and you see a master and he husky, I totally understand the danger of a man with endless internal power that he can convert into anything he wants it to be. Whether it be mental fortitude at the time, physical fortitude, whether he can exert it as an attack. Chi is a super real thing and it's self-generated. It is a decision. I want you to understand how my mind works. My core principle is endless work, endless attack. That is how you win in the end. You never give up and you endlessly persevere. It's hard to destroy the man who endlessly perseveres. Perseverance is the key. It is very easy to accept an L when you've tried your best. It's easy. The reason I don't like that saying, well, as long as you tried your best, is because most people don't try their best. If you do try your best, it's very rare you fail. In fact, it's nearly impossible. People say it's okay to lose if you try your best. The secret to the universe is if you try your best, you hardly ever lose. It takes some freak accident or the will of God to ensure that you don't pull it off if you actually try your best. And on the few scenarios that's happened in my life, I'm happy to take the L because I can say I couldn't have tried any harder. I done my absolute best. I know I did my best. I can't try any harder. God knows more than me. And he decided that things have to be slightly different right now. That's fine. It's easy to take the L if you try your best. So if you try your best, you never feel the bitter sting of regret. You never feel the dark rankness. You never taste failure. It's never in your mouth. It's never lucid. It's never tangible because you approach the scenario with absolute vigor. And truthfully, effort is a muscle like everything else. The more you exercise it, the better it becomes. So even if you try for 100% for something and fail, you've exercised your effort muscle, which means you haven't failed because you've learned something and become better at giving effort to things. You become better at being concentrated on a task. So it's nearly impossible to fail in these scenarios. A lot of sayings are overused. Never a failure only, always a lesson. And that's what's annoying about it because it's true, but it's rarely applicable. You guys will say it's never a failure. It's always a lesson when you didn't even try. That's wrong. That's a failure. But if you absolutely try your best, then it is a lesson and there are benefits, right? It's like going for a PB in the gym. You may not get the PB, but your muscles get stronger because you tried so hard. That's how every single task should be approached. I'm trying to lift as much as possible. Perhaps I failed, but because I tried so hard and I strained so hard, my muscles ache and I got stronger anyway. Meaning, I did not fail at the task of becoming stronger. There were tangible benefits to my effort in and of itself. Making things happen is the masculine essence to how you should approach the world. Work harder than ever before to be monumentally rewarded more than ever before. It's also about pleasing the universe and showing that you are prepared to put your concentrated calories, the calories you consume, you're prepared to put them into something. You're only going to be rewarded if you differentiate yourself from the crowd via effort. A lot of people don't know how to try anymore, but we are not like that. We know better. We know how to try. That's why we always endlessly win. You should feel genuinely worried about wasting a single second because you can't let the winners keep dunking on you. I've spoken at length about how the world is getting harder and harder. This is true. This is easy to observe. Everybody knows it. There are people out there in the world who are going to try hard to change that dynamic because they don't believe they can ever be rich. There are people who are going to sit and say, I don't want the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer because I'm poor. And there's other people who sit and say, I like it this way. I like this challenge. I like that the game is rigged because now if I get rich, I get richer. That's how rich people think. Winners think, I have no problem with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poor because I'm going to be one of the rich ones. Losers think, no, we need to spread it all out. If you accept the rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer, then you need to be prepared to do whatever it takes to win the game. Just like a video game, the harder the level, the greater the difficulty, the larger the high score at the end. I mean, you should try every day anyway, but let's assume you're the kind of person who can't try every day because you don't have that grit and consistency. If you're not going to pull your finger out now and finally try in these few days, when are you going to try? When are better chances going to come? Because they're actually right in front of you. This is a huge, important period in your life when it comes to your success and your finances. If you're not going to try now, when are you going to try? I believe in God, and God knows the truth of my heart. Me and him are on the same side. We're on the same mission. God and I'm his number one angel, one of his favorite soldiers, God's favorite. And when you're God's favorite, you have to fight the demons. You have to you have to go through the battle. That's what God wants of you, right? Yeah, absolutely. My belief system is very, very simple. It's based on results, right? It's based on competency. The things I believe and the way I view the world and the mindset I've adopted has been created to be the most effective version of a mindset, which is going to allow me to perform. It's like the software you install within yourself. I've installed an operating system which allows me to perform at the absolute highest levels. It doesn't matter whether they're trying to cancel me. It doesn't matter whether people are trying to kill me. It doesn't matter when, even the cancellation, right? I don't give about losing my social media. But when you start getting lied about in the media en masse and your family's being threatened and news reporters are calling your ex-girlfriends, offering them bribes to lie about you, and they're trying to get you in serious criminal trouble for things you haven't done, that's a huge level of stress. These people are genuinely demonic. They're evil in what they do to people like me who are completely innocent. And the mindset I have to deal with all these things is a software I've installed that allows me to deal with huge amounts of pressure, because whether it's fighting or anything else, I've always had a very pressure-filled life. And that's why I think the way I think, because that allows me to perform the way I perform, and my performance is obviously doing me very, very well in life. So I would never adopt any other type of mindset. I think that how successful you are in life isn't usually linked to IQ. You can be stupid and be successful, and it's certainly linked to energy levels. But one of the most important things that's going to link that's going to determine how successful you are in life, is how much stress you can adopt. The more stress you can adopt, the more problems you're solving. And I tell you now, 99% of the people watching this stream would collapse under 5% of the daily I deal with every single day. You guys have been here. I'm either at the desk, at a meeting, running back and forth on the phone, dealing with millions and millions of dollars. And it never ends. And the more stress you can adopt, the more successful you're going to be. And I'm just that guy. And I've been that guy my whole life. I'm that guy that everyone who knows me, all my family, every woman I know, they all come to me with their problems. They throw there on top of I'm just a problem solver. It's just who I've always been. And if you want to be that person, you have to have a certain mindset. And that's what my mindset is. It's not even about, this is what's interesting. It's not even about truth. And I know that sounds crazy. It's not so much of me looking and going, what's true? It's more about me believing in what I need to believe to be as successful as possible. I'm cool under pressure because I've literally had people try and hurt me for a large period of my life. I still had people trying to hurt me today. And it's just a normal operating procedure. It is how it is. And yeah, without the actual threat of physical violence. When there's not someone in the room trying to kill me, it's very easy for me to calm down and say, cool, let's get the problem solved. So they wanted me to quit and be demotivated. And I'll make it clear now, I've been massively successful on my new platform, Rumble. But even if I had one subscriber, I would be posting just like before, podcasts, just like before. I'm indefatigable. I do not give up. I do not get tired. I do not quit. That's what they want. That's what the enemy wants from me. They want to try and win a war of attrition. They want to wear me down and hope I quit and give up and go, oh, I'm not getting any traction now. I don't have YouTube. This is going to be hard, etc. I am not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who keeps going. And if you're truly indefatigable in life and perspicacious, that's my favorite saying, the one I say all the time, unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. It's absolutely andly true. If you pay attention to the things that are happening around you and you do not quit, you will be a dangerous opponent in any realm of human endeavor. It doesn't matter what you try and do. Cancel me, cancel me, cancel me again. Do it again. It ain't going to change anything. I'm a man who lives true to God and says what he means and means what he says. And I know the things I say are good for society and good for the world. I didn't put a magic spell on anybody. The reason people listen to me is because they like what I say and they know that I'm telling the truth. That's the reason I am here, and I'm going to continue to do that. And there's nothing anybody can do about it, because in every single battle, there has to be somebody who charges at the front and perhaps takes the most flack. And perhaps it's the most dangerous to charge in at the front. And that's what I'm doing. And everyone's like, why is Tate involved in this battle? Why is he taking so much? Tate has all this money. He could just go on a yacht with a bunch of and run around with a bunch of cars and just have fun. I could do that. The reason I'm doing this is because I believe this war is coming to absolutely every single one of us. You have two choices as a man, and you either realize the truth about reality and understand how the matrix is suppressing you and affecting your mind. You either wake up and you are now in battle against the matrix itself, or you accept the programming. When you accept the programming, the battle doesn't end, because now you're in a battle against your own mind. If you believe the want that they want you to believe, you're unhappy, you're depressed, you're miserable. So you're either fighting against yourself inside of your own mind, living in some semi-depressed state, sitting on the internet talking complete means liberal hate mobs, or you understand the truth about what's happening and you're in the war against the matrix. You can't escape this fight. Everybody watching this is in this fight. I'm in this fight. You're in this fight. We're all in this fight. The war is here. When the battle turns up at your front door, you can't just cower. Someone has to fight. So yeah, maybe I'm at the front, but I'm also in a unique position to handle that. One, because of the stress. Second, because of the finances. Third, because I'm hard to hurt. So I feel like it's my duty to God. I'm not going to sit here and tell people, listen, accept the bull that they want you to believe. Stay at home semi-depressed. Take your Adderall. Be a little dork. And then the Matrix is going to be happy with you, because there's no happiness in that. You can't avoid this battle. You're just going to end up in a battle with your owning head. You're going to have to fight. To all the men watching this, you are going to fight somebody at some point. Either the Matrix or yourself. Choose. I refuse to turn on myself. I'm not going to be the guy who turns on myself and makes an enemy out of my owning mind. No, sir. Me and every single thing inside of me is on the same team. And when the enemy appears, then it's on. If it's on, it's on. That's the game. And that's what the old emperors wanted. The emperors of today want the same thing. They want eunuchs. They want you to go to work and they want you to pay your taxes, but they don't want you to think for yourself or have any balls or have any true ambition or open your mind or resist slave mind programming. They don't want any of that. That's a decision every single individual needs to make. And I decided absolutely gnarly not to. And I do, and I know that I could disappear down a hole of hedonism. I could disappear into a black hole of degeneracy and not even fight this war. A lot of people don't understand that I don't need to be doing the I'm doing. I have a very, very good life, and I'm taking genuine risks to do it. But I also understand that my unique positioning means that it would be disingenuous for me as an individual of honor and integrity to not stand up and fight when I know that I'm in a position to fight when most people can't. Most people can't say that I say because they're going to lose their jobs. I've just been canceled. I still have hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, they can't hurt me on that level. So I feel like I have a genuine duty to do it. And the only alternative at my level of life is endless hedonism. That's the only alternative. And I think a lot of people, especially before they're successful, like the idea of an endless hedonistic life. And let me explain something to the world. Certain things are black holes. Money is a black hole to a degree. Numbers go forever. If you're going to say, I need money to be happy, it goes up forever. You're going to need a new number every day. You're never going to be happy. You need a higher purpose and a higher vision. And my purpose is to wake people up and make them feel good about themselves. I don't want the whole entire population of the West eunuched and cut. I don't think that's beneficial for the world. So I'm trying to do the absolute opposite. This is what's so hypocritical about them, right? They talk about men's mental health and caring about how men feel and how men think. The fact that I have such a large following and you guys have such a large following shows that our mindset is really not that unique. There's a lot of people who agree with us. There's a lot of people who agree with us, right? Things too. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people who agree with us. And that means that we deserve a voice. And if they truly cared about men's mental health, they'd be trying to propagate us out there in the world and saying, look, these guys have a point of view and maybe people align with their point of view. And that's what they would do if they were genuinely fair and non-tyrannical. But they don't care about men's mental health. They don't give about you. Men, you need to understand that you are the backbone of the slave force. You always have been. You're the men who are going to die in a war. You're the men who are going to build the roads, dig the trenches. Nobody gives a how you feel about it. You're the backbone of the slave force, and they don't give about you doing anything other than using your time and using your energy and using your life force to advance their civilizations. But the second you have a point of view, you're not allowed to stand up and say it. No, shut up, go dig the trench again, then go home to your sexless wife and your kids who don't care about you. It's truly amazing where we talk about the differences between men and women, but one of the largest differences is the societal view of how a man and woman are. The society looks at men and just thinks of us as workhorses. That's what we are. We always have been, and we still are to this day. And the workhorse isn't allowed to talk. Chicks are allowed to talk. We talk about chicks' mental health all day long. Poor women, poor women. Yeah, poor chicks. And I'm not saying that women don't face struggles, but I'm not a woman. I'm a man. So I could talk about the struggles that men face because those are the struggles that I've lived through. I know them. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the struggles of women. There's plenty of women who already do that. But a second a man stands up and says, no, this is how certain men feel. This is how you fix it. This is how you deal with it, because that's what I've been saying all along. I've been saying it's very difficult as life as a man. You don't get to you got to be a G. You got to get out there and you got to make yourself. You got to do it. It's not easy. It's very, very hard. I've been telling the truth about these things and they just want to shut me up. They want their eunuchs. They don't want people to strap their balls back on. I said at the beginning of this stream, I do not believe in things that take away power from. I only believe in things that make me more powerful as an individual. Now, I cannot deny that feeling depressed is real because every single human on the planet sometimes feels depressed. Feeling depressed is real, but being a depressive or having depression is something else. I accept that if I do feel depressed, or I do feel sad, or I do feel negative, which is actually very rare for me, but if it does ever happen, I understand I'm human, and it's an emotion I'm going through, and it will pass. People who have depression believe that they have a disease that can't be fixed and can't be cured. You are handing your power away. You're giving your power to an outside source and you're saying that I have no control over this. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. You need to at least believe you have some degree of control. When I say depression isn't real, I'm not saying you don't feel depressed. I'm saying that you can fix it. It's not a disease that you caught from the sky. You can fix it by taking control of your own mind. Listen, I'll tell you right now, I don't know how to fly a plane. I don't know. But if I was in a plane and it was crashing and I was sitting in the pilot's chair, I would still hold on to the gear stick or joystick or whatever it's called. I'd hold on to it and try and move even though I don't know what I'm doing. I'd try and get some control over the scenario. I'm not going to give up and put my hands in the air and crash into a mountain. I would try and do something. I'm not the guy who relinquishes all his control to outside forces. I believe I have a lot of control and power within myself. So when I speak to depressed people and they sit there and say, no, you don't understand. I have depression. I have depression. I have depression. You are one, hypnotizing yourself to believe you have it. 1, 2, giving a bunch of power to this outside source instead of believing the power inside of yourself. And 3, not just being realistic enough to know that I feel a certain way and I feel this way because of my life circumstances. And if I change my life circumstances, perhaps my mindset might change. And that's why I say depression isn't real. The worst things on the planet could happen to me. I refuse to be a depressed person. I may feel depressed for a day or I may feel depressive for a few hours, but I will never be a depressed person. I'm not the guy who walks with this head down. I'm the guy who walks with my shoulders back and my chin up high. That's who I am as an individual, and I absolutely refuse to change. And I cannot catch depression. All these people out here saying that depression is a disease, I can't catch it. I'm immune because I'm living life. They're trying to attack me with everything they can. I can't catch depression. It's never happened, nevering will. And I stand by that. Another thing that's really important, I say this all the time, nearly every word that comes out of my mouth is self-hypnosis. Every word that comes out of my mouth is self-hypnosis. And it's the same for everybody watching this. Every single word you speak is self-hypnosis. Every single thing you say out of your own mouth is almost more important than the things you hear from other people. You can't be sitting there saying, I'm depressed. Oh, I got a generational curse. I'm unlucky, bro. You can't be saying these things because you're reaffirming them within your mind. I don't do that. And as many people are going to sit there and say, Tate, you're delusional. You're a narcissist. You go through the world saying you're super lucky and that you're bulletproof and you can do all these crazy things. It's impossible for you to be depressed. You're a narcissist, perhaps. Look at my life and look at yours. So let's talk about it let's look at it in pure metrics. Who came from a worse scenario at the start? Who had a worse background? Me. Who's now more successful? Me. Who's happier? Me. Who smiles more? Me. Who sleeps easy at night? Me. Why would I want to think like you? If thinking this way makes me a bad person, but I getting fantastic results for my entire life, and everybody close to me gets fantastic results from knowing me. And everybody close to me absolutely adores me. Why would I want to adopt your thinking and be a sating sack of sitting on the internet trying to cancel people like a dork? I don't want to be. I don't want to be my enemies. There's not a single enemy I have that I'm remotely envious of in any regard. Every single one of them has a life and a existence. I already won. God's already punished them. God's already rewarded me. I know these things. I'm the luckiest man on the planet. You have to say these things and you have to truly believe them. Do you deserve to be happy? Genuinely, every single person watching this, go look in the mirror after this stream. Go into the bathroom, look in the mirror. Do you deserve to be happy? Look yourself in the eye. The answer is probably not. You don't deserve it. When you're hungry, it's your body telling you need to eat some food. That's fine. You react to that. When you're depressed, your body's telling you you need to change your life. And if you're feeling that for long periods of time and then not changing your life, well, you don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve it. Everything in life that is valuable must be earned. Peace of mind must be earned. Happiness must be earned. I'm happy because I earn it. I get to be top G. Of course I'm happy. I'm me. When I look at the lives of people who tell me they're depressed, I look at them and think, you know what? If I was you, I'd be depressed. If I was you, I'd be depressed. Of course you're depressed because your life is, but whose fault is that? You have to take some personal responsibility for it. And what they'll do is they try and outsource it. Well, I had a bad start, or this happened to me, that happened to me. World ain't fair. Suck it up, buttercup. Happens to everybody. I could sit here and be an unsuccessful piece of and I got 10 stories to tell you why I have excuses to do exactly that. And here I am, top G. So that's life. That's life. You have to get done. So yeah, if you live a depressive life, you're going to feel depressed. If you live my life, you wouldn't feel depressed. So now you know what to do. Now you're either going to sit up, get up and do it. You're going to sit there and stay depressed. And that's why these people are so desperate to defend the idea that depression can't be solved. When you tell the world that depression can't be solved, what you're doing is absolving yourself from all responsibility. I no longer have to stand up and work hard and try and be something because it doesn't matter how hard I work because I'll be depressed anyway. They know that's a lie. They're just trying to F. They're being ignorant on purpose to avoid doing the hard work. That's all it really is. Happiness. Happiness is the number one thing that must be earned. And I'll tell you that my happiness is based on very real world achievements. I couldn't be happy if I was broke. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in those scenarios. So I made sure none of them scenarios came true. I have earned my happiness via hard work. It's the top of a mountain, which I have climbed. I deserve it. I deserve to go to sleep with a smile on my face and wake up, and every single guy who hasn't got it probably doesn't deserve it. The universe is very giving and very fair. People seem to think that the world is unfair, and those are all the same people who tell themselves they're unlucky. I actually believe the opposite. I believe the universe is a very giving place. I believe God is a very giving being, and that thing, the world, all in all, generally balances out and is pretty fair. If you're the kind of person who deserves a good life and works their ass off and genuinely wants it and tries very hard, guess what? You get 99% of the time a good life. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't really deserve it, slaps 3 days a week, a little bit lazy, snakes his friends, talks behind people back, blah, 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 guess what? Your life ain't all that good. The universe is pretty fair and pretty balanced. I've yet to meet somebody who gets up every day, does what they're supposed to do, works hard, goes to the gym, then goes to work, does their best, makes their money, looks after it, is sensible, doesn't blow it, etc., who then fails. I've never met anybody who fails when they do all the right things. The universe is a very fair and giving place all in all. There are very few exceptions to that. So when I see somebody who doesn't have the success they want, especially when I see, let's say, a group of people who don't have the success they want, there's no way you're all exceptions to that rule. You may want something, but you certainly don't deserve it. And that's why you don't. When I talk about the matrix, I'm talking about the systems which have been created by society, which are deliberately designed to enslave. In the movie, the matrix were used for our body heat. But here in this matrix, we're used for our efforts and our energies. And you're existing inside of a system which is deliberately rigged to make the rich richer and for the poor to stay poor.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and get upset about it. You can sit there and cry about it and say the system needs to change, which is what some people do, socialists XYZ. But I think I know that's a waste of time, right? That's futile. The best thing to do is to understand the rules of the game and find a way to win. So yes, the game is rigged. Yes, the rich are always going to get richer. Yes, the poor are always going to struggle. And that's the way the game is set up. So you still need to find the best move on the chessboard. There's no point sitting there saying, I want to play a different game, because that's never going to happen, because the people with the money are the people who have the control and they have the power. And why would they have the game set up any other way? Why would they change it? Right? It's also the basic of economics. I think a lot of people don't understand the true basics of economics and the basics of economic state, that even giving money to the poor, it ends up back in the hands of the rich. There's no way to stop the rich getting richer. I've already explained this before, but I remember during COVID when they did the stimulus checks and they passed out all this free money to everyone, 1,000. In England, they gave a lot more money, but in America, everyone got like $1,400 each, and everyone was happy about it, saying, oh, he's giving money to the poor. Yeah, but what do those poor people spend that money on? They either, Amazon stock tripled because they all went to Amazon. So Jeff Bezos got richer, right? But the fact is that there's less companies than there are people. All those $1,400 checks amongst all those people at the bottom ended up in the hands of a few companies, and the rich got richer, and you can't stop it. Doesn't matter if those people invested their money. Doesn't matter if they bought stocks. Doesn't matter if they bought a crypto. Doesn't matter if they bought a house or whatever. The people who have the assets and have the companies and have the control are always going to end up getting control of the currency, and they're always going to be richer. That's kind of how it works. And it's getting worse and worse. It's have-nots and have-yachts. You have to be positioned to take advantage of opportunities. It's like in chess. They say, good moves come from good positions. It's true. You can't find a good move from a terrible position, right? If you're sitting at home with no money, it's hard to invest in Bitcoin at $1. Doesn't matter what it goes to, right? You got to be in a good position to take advantage of things. So you've always got to be in a position where you have a good network, you have good information, you have some kind of liquid money, you have the ability to survive without that money. You can take a risk. Like, it's hard to set yourself up. I'm in a position now where I'm in the NBA. I'm an NBA player. I can never go broke again. So it doesn't matter, right? Once you're in the NBA, I can throw $1 million at something. It doesn't matter if it works or not. So for me, it doesn't make a difference. And that's why it's so much easier. They always say the first million is the hardest. And they're completely right. I always knew that the matrix existed. And I always knew that the traditional systems I always knew. Okay. I just knew, even when I was going to school and they're sitting there going, you're not going to get a good job if you don't get good grades. I was the one sitting there going, you're a liar. Shut up. I just knew the teacher was lying. I knew I knew college I knew university was a lie. I always knew it was a trick and a con, that to the level I understand them now, but I had an intrinsic understanding, and I think everybody does. If you're in a gas station and it's 3 a.m. and a Lambo pulls up and a guy gets out of it, you're thinking criminal gangster. You're not thinking, he has a uni degree, because you're not going to think that. So when you see money, people don't even associate the money they see with university. But then they go, I want to make money, so I go to university. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. So I think everybody knows that the system and the path they lay out for you is not a path that's going to lead to where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what the other path was, but that intrinsic distrust for the system and that distrust for the things they wanted me to do made me search for other avenues, and then I found them, right? And if you speak to the people who are richest, if you speak to the people you know, this is for everyone at home as well. If you speak to the people you know have the most money and go up to them and say, hey, what made you rich? None of them say school. Do any of them say, school made me rich? I got an A in GCSE. Like, who gives you right? So it's all indoctrination. So I knew it was indoctrination. And for that reason, I was always searching. And if you're searching, you're going to find.
Yeah.
So the problem is as well, it's difficult, because the way that humans work and the way that we've evolved as a species is that we don't really learn lessons unless they're learned the hard way. Yeah, I believe that unless a lesson has taught the hard way, you're not going to learn it. You can have so many near misses and people won't learn their lesson. Bro, you must know a guy who goes out there, nearly crashes his car, doesn't slow his ass down till he wrecks it. Yeah, like this is just how people are, right? So you need that pain for the lesson to sting enough to really genuinely go inside of your mind. And it's the same with everything. It's the same with driving a car or a business. Truthfully, if you want to learn a lesson about business, you're going to have to suffer at some point, right? So we always say that most people are not successful with their first companies, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I get that. The truth is there's a lot of people who make a lot of money with their first company, but they just spunk it, act an idiot, and it all blows up in their face. And that's how you get the discipline on your fourth company, that when you have 3 million in the bank, you just leave it there. Don't be done with it. So you need to go through some pain. You need to experience some negative things. You need to have, to a degree, some trauma to really even learn any lessons. So Yeah, business studies, you're right. The book that's not going to teach you anything about business. You need to get out there on the streets. You need to make mistakes. You need to suffer. You need to have the tax man knocking at your door. You got to deal with all that stuff so that you make sure it doesn't happen again. And I really think that humans are stupid enough to only learn the hard way. That's kind of how it works. The saying, if you know what you have, you ain't got much. That is completely true. I don't have a clue how much money I have. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much money I had. I had 17 pounds in the Nat West, and that was it. I'm poor, rent's paid, I ain't got nothing else. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much I had, but now I'm at a point where it gets really difficult to truly measure how much money I have because you have cash. Okay, that's easy. I have some crypto which is constantly fluctuating, and then you have assets and the price of the assets is constantly fluctuating. And then I have companies and income streams which need to be valued, and how do you value them? Right? They can be an 8 times multiplier in some circumstances. In others, there'll be a 10 times multiplier. So it's really difficult for me to put a value on it. If you were to say to me, how much money do I have in the bank? But then, even then, because I'm got to be careful what I say on this podcast. But even then, once you have a healthy respect for money, once you get past a certain amount of money, you don't need it in the bank. Like there's no point me having 50 meters liquid in the bank. Why? What am I going to buy? You know, you're like, as long as you have whatever you have in the bank to run around the world with, you have enough. So you try and put that money to use, right? You buy assets XYZ. So it's really difficult. I mean, I have my online school, which we'll talk about later, Hustlers University, YI, that's already been valued. That was valued at 300 million. When did you start Hustlers University? A year ago. Yeah. And that's valued at 300 million. Yeah. So, but then I ain't going to sell it. So, but then again, I had a valuation between 280 and 340. So again, how much money do I have? I don't know. I could, if I really wanted to, if I wanted to sit here and say I was worth 500 million, I could prove that. But you know what? This is another thing about money. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to complain. This is going to upset all the brokies at home. There's nothing to buy. Like, you buy 3 or 4 diamond watches, you buy a couple suits, you buy some cars. What else? What else is there to buy? You end up just spunking on bottle shows and $10,000 steaks. There's nothing to buy. You can go on holiday and travel, blah, blah, blah. But if you're actually looking for physical items, things to own and buy, there ain't much to buy. Okay. You can buy property, but property is a funny one for me because I'm very anti-governmental as a person. And I think that property is one of the big tools the Matrix uses to enslave, to keep you in the system. Completely, man. When you buy a $10 million house in whatever country, you don't want to piss off the government of that country. Yeah. Because you'll lose that house. There's a lot of people who talk about passive income. And we'll talk about passive income because I think that's the biggest scam on the planet. The idea of passive income in and of itself is a lie. Tell me how you're going to get it. Because having tenants is not passive income. Ask anybody who has tenants. It's a headache, right? If I have a house XYZ, I got to make sure it's looked after, not broken into, the electricity's on, it's cleaned. I got to get someone on the ground. My assistant's got to deal with it. Now it's just got me something to deal with. And once I got a bunch of money, what I really wanted more than anything was freedom. There's a bunch of these real high crypto guys, you know, like the guys who invented Ethereum and all that, the autistic guys. They don't own anything. And I kind of get that. I'm at that point now where they have a backpack of their possessions. And if they want a house, they rent it. They want a Lambo, they rent it. If I need to go somewhere, rent. I don't own anything. I don't have any hassle. Nothing's in my name. No government can take anything from me. You get to a point of wealth where you kind of start thinking, do I want to have all this crap? Now I got to deal with, really, you want peace of mind, and I have enough troubles in my head. I don't need to be worried about my mansion in Santa Monica, which has been broken into, and I don't even go there. Do you know what I mean? It's just long. So that's that. And then also what I was saying earlier about property being a tool to the matrix. If you buy a 10 or $20 million property under a government, you can't piss that government off. You can't disagree with that government. You can't, if the tax authority of that government says you owe them money, you better pay it or you're going to lose a house, right? If they say you better take an injection in your arm for the good of society, you better take your vaccine, you better put your mask on. You can't even get a parking ticket, my G. Listen, if I'm in England right now, I don't own any assets in England, right? And I pull up in the DBs. Have you ever seen James Bond look for parking? Me neither. No. He parks up and gets out. That's what I do. Park up, boom, get out. I don't look for parking. They put a ticket on the DBs. Let's say I decide not to pay that, right? What are they going to do? I don't have any assets in the UK. They're going to make a bunch of letters, send it to a BAFT. Baif's going to drive around the UK. I don't even live here. Boom. It's over, right? If I had a 20 million pound house, eventually it's going to go the 60 LB becomes 120, 120 becomes 240. Bailiff comes $2,000, $3,000, boom, boom, boom. Gets to the point where they're going to take my 20 million pound house off me. Maybe it takes 3 years, but they will over a parking ticket. So by buying that property, you're now giving you're giving the government a way to hurt you. You're giving them a leverage over you. And I'm at the point of wealth now. I have enough hidden money where I don't want any government to have any leverage over me. I want a government to say, Andrew, we don't like you. And me say, get safe. All right. I won't come then. Bye. And that's the problem with property. Property is a tricky one. I know you can make money with it, but you have to understand that they'll use it against you, man. It's a leverage. So, and if you look at the real high levels of wealth, if you look at the billionaires and stuff, they're trying to do the same thing. They don't own anything. They have a share in a company which owns a shell company in the Cayman Islands, which owns this subsidiary of a company in Dubai, which owns a boat that they can use.
Yep.
It's that Aikido. It's the same thing. Get out of the matrix. That's what everyone's trying to do. Once you have a jet, you can time travel. So you're time traveling all the time. Shell company owns a subsidiary to a company which owns a jet, which I can borrow. I don't own anything. Hello, everyone on YouTube. I am broke. I'm a brokey. I don't own anything. You can't take nothing from me. HMRC. I don't have anything. I'm poor. The good old days. Some of the best days of my life were brokey days, bro. You think? Yeah. I miss the brokey days. Why? Because when you have limitations, money makes it fun, though. Money does make life fun. But when you have limitations, you're better at living in the moment and you're better at appreciating things. So what happens is now at my point, right, no matter how much fun I'm having, it's always, even if it's only 1% in the back of my mind, that there could be more fun somewhere else. If I can go anywhere I want all the time with no limitations, I never have to turn up to a job. I don't have anything I have to do. I can go anywhere, right? And I got a plane waiting for me. If I'm in Marba in the middle of a party, no matter how good that party is, how much fun I'm having, whatever girls I'm with, whatever, and a boy texts me from MKO saying it's going off in MKOs, part of me is thinking, I can get there it's 3 a.m. now. I can be there before the club closes in MKOs. And then it's hard to just live in the moment and be happy with what you're doing. Does that make sense? Because there's unlimited choices. It's like going, the brokey days were good days, bro. Man, I'd get McDonald's and you're laughing with your boys. The brokey days are great. And I'm not complaining about being rich. Obviously, I worked hard for this and it's a fantastic life I live now. But I think without those brokey days, without those original days to compare it to, without that juxtaposition, then I don't think being rich would be fun at all. I think it's only fun because you can compare it to the days when you weren't rich. That's the only thing that makes it fun. The only thing that makes a $10,000 steak fun is that you can laugh saying how you never had 10 grand in your bank till you were 27 years old. Otherwise it's boring. Otherwise, you okay steak. And I think if you're born with too much money that you'll never truly be happy. I think you need the brokey days or the best days. It's not the destination. It's the journey. And humans, we all work in regards to, it's even the way the human body works, right? If you're driving at 200 miles per hour, you don't feel it. You only feel the acceleration getting to 200 miles per hour. So if you were born at 200 miles per hour, it doesn't feel fast. It doesn't feel fun. My life feels fun now because of all the acceleration to get here. And I can remember the times when I was stuck by the side of the motorway without a car. So I have that juition. Without that, it's not even interesting. It's not even fun. So the brokey days, anyone who's out here who's broke, good. These will be the happiest days of your life once you made it. You just got to remember everything and sit around with your boys. I mean, maybe some people change with money. Maybe if you get new friends and things change, but I hang around with the exact same people I did when I was poor. I got the same friends. I live with the same people, the same guys, same jokes, nothing's changed for me. So for me, I'm just a broke guy with a bunch of money. That's all that's happened. Money amplifies who you are. If you're a loser and you get rich, you're a bigger loser. If you're a G and you get rich, you're the top G. I've talked about this at length. I've explained that if you see a little dork with glasses on getting out of a Lamborghini, you assume he's a mega dork. And if you see a big, strong, sterile-looking man getting out of a Lamborghini, you assume he's a killer or a crime boss. The Lamborghini doesn't change who he is. It only amplifies. And money is exactly the same. We've entered a new paradigm when it comes to things like financing, the access to money, how quickly it can be made, how quickly it can be spent and reinvested. The speed at which money is moving now is unprecedented. And although I'm only 38 years old, I want you to understand that 10, 15 years ago, when I was in my 20 seconds, none of this existed. You weren't a streamer. Streaming didn't exist. YouTube didn't exist. There was no such thing as crypto. That didn't exist. None of these things did. People were out in the world working jobs, real jobs, like the memes you make all day long with the McDonald's hat. And people would work jobs all day long for their money. And then they would spend their money out in the real world in bars or clubs or doing activities or spending time with their friends, etc. We have all fully plugged into this internet lifestyle now. We call it locking in. And I want to explain exactly what's happening here, because there's a very important yet devastating conflation that many of you are allowing yourselves to fall for, and it's going to damage you in the long run. Music, the first thing I want to talk about, is a universal constant. And that universal constant is that easy come, easy go. That is something that you've heard said thousands of times for a reason. And crypto is the easiest come money, which is why you see all these people on the internet talking about how they lost it all. It's amazing how the human heart is infected with a permanent and never-ending greed. Doesn't matter how much you have, you're greedy. This built the modern world. No matter how many skyscrapers were built, someone wanted to build a bigger one. No matter how much land was conquered, somebody wanted to discover more land. It built the modern world. But we're now in a position where nobody is building anything. We are simply being as greedy as possible in a minus-sum game. Crypto isn't even a zero-sum game. Zero sum means win-lose. So if I put in $1 and you put in $1, one person walks away with $2, the other person walks away with $0. This is a minus sum game, actually, because there's a whole bunch of fees involved for the platforms. So I put in $1, you put in $1, one person walks away with $180, the platform gets 20 cents. And another guy walks away with $0. So it's a minus sum game that this whole crypto world's become. And a lot of this is based on the fact that real work doesn't pay anymore. And I've talked about this in other videos I've made. I've talked about it at length, that why would anybody dedicate their lives to getting a degree in engineering to study hard for 5 or 6 years to build bridges for $100,000 a year when you can make $100,000 on Fartcoin? And I described how this is going to destroy society, destroy economics, because it's going to destroy the one thing that primarily built countries and nations, which was the hard work of young men. It is men that built everything you see around you. The buildings were built by men. The roads were built by men. It is men who did real things for a paycheck. But as we've been educated to the fact that our dollars are not real, as our governments have robbed us and stole from us in real time and inflated our currencies, most people feel like the only way out is to gamble. And the fastest way to gamble with the highest and largest possible returns are meme coins, which is why we have this huge PvP insanity going on, and everybody's trying their very best to just gamble their way out of the hole, which is the economic trap we've been thrust into by the generation above us. How this is actually going to play out for society at large is going to be very, very interesting. But I want to give you all as many tips and tricks as I can for you to be successful if you're going to play this game. I can sit and tell you not to play the game, but that would be disingenuous, because to be honest, some people can win. So what I want to make you understand is the game you are playing and give you the best possible chance of winning it, because it is a minus sum game. You must understand this by nature. That means more of you are going to lose than are going to win. This is built into the parameters of the game you are playing. This is coded. When you see these panels, you see people winning. You have to understand that for every person who wins big,